You know what? It's high time. High time we had another retrospective of 1984. Hey, hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I've been missing you guys. And as you can see, I'm in my new setting. We are in a new flat, still surrounded by some moving boxes because it's been chaotic, let me tell you. We moved, we had some sickness intertwined with that, so it's just been chaotic, and that's why there's been some delay. But now I'm back, and like I said, I really missed you guys. This time around, as I said in the intro, this is a retrospective of 1984, more precisely March of 1984. And for the January and February lists, I based it on the Swedish single charts because I grew up in Sweden, so that's just natural. It's all about my memories around this time. And I've been thinking a lot about this, and as I said before, we listened a lot to radio back then, radio shows where we got the new music from, where we created the mixtapes from, and all that great stuff. So why not base it on the most popular radio program in Sweden back in the day? It was called Poporama. And it was quite unique because the chart that they were doing was based on our votes, the listeners' votes. It was not about the selling, even if this impacted the selling, I'm sure. It was quite different from the selling charts in Sweden at the point. So what they did, every Saturday I was glued to the radio, Poporama came on, I listened to all the songs that they played, and if I wanted to, I could put down my top 5 favorite songs from that show on a postcard or on a letter, send it to Swedish radio, and the next Saturday they would base that Saturday chart on what we sent in as youngsters back then. And that was the chart. So it was really what we were listening to, what we liked, the popular charts, so to speak. So yeah, that's what I'm going to base this on from now on. It's not that different, of course, from the selling chart, but I think it's more fair to what I was and a lot of people my age was listening to at that point. So I just want to mention that. It's all about Poporama. I'm still going to look at the UK charts as well. There is a lot of crossovers from the UK charts and the Swedish charts. They are not that different that I thought they were going to be in the first place. But I'm still going to pick some of the things that I'm certain of never charted in Sweden, but were popular in England, so or in the UK. So yeah. I'm still going to pick up the odd singles from the UK charts, but it's mainly going to be focused on the Swedish Poporama charts. So, enough japping from me. Let's get into the charts, and let's start with number 15. Yeah, that was Simple Minds and Up on the Catwalk. And I think this is the first time I really did pay notice to Simple Minds. I know in my last retrospective we talked about Speed Your Love to Me, which I think is a good song. But at that point, I can't remember hearing it back in the day. I didn't pay much notice to Simple Minds. But this time around, I remember I had it on a couple of mixtapes. And a couple of years later, I picked it up on a maxi single. Here it is, Up on the Catwalk. And this extended version of it, I think it's far superior to the normal 7-inch or the single version of it. Even the album version. The percussion is outstanding on this one. I think it's a brilliant extended version of it. And you know, the sound Simple Minds created back in the day, it was very unique. Straight away you can hear it was a Simple Minds song without Jim Kerr started singing, of course. It was just the instrumentation of it, the arrangement. yeah, you could tell straight away it's a Simple Minds song. Never been a huge Simple Minds fan, though I picked up a couple of the albums throughout the years and some of the singles, and we will see that when we go through other retrospectives throughout 1984. But back to this one, brilliant, brilliant track, Up on a Catwalk, and as I said, the extended version is my preferred one. And the B-side on this one, it's called A Brass Band in African Chimes. Back in the day, I wasn't too fond of this one. I thought it was a bit weird, but it is weird in a good way. I can tell you that by listening back to this one in later years. I really love this B-side. So, yeah, you get two great tracks on this one for sure. Really, really good. Simple Minds and Up on the Catwalk. And now we go to spot number 14 on the Poporama chart of March of 1984. And we have a Swedish artist this time around. And for you Eurovision fans out there, you might recognize the name. It's Carola. She had a big, huge success in Sweden with what we call the Melody Festival, where we select people to go that we send to the Eurovision. And Carola, of course, been in the Eurovision a couple of times, so for you guys out there who knows Eurovision, you know who Carola is. She was on the number 14th spot this time around in March 1984 with a track called Tommy Tycker om mig, or Tommy Loves Me. Yeah, Carola, I was never a big fan. I don't have any records here to show you for Carola. I do appreciate her as an artist. She's got a great voice and all that, but like I said, never a big fan. My sister was a bigger fan in our family, so we'll just leave it to that. It was in number 14 on the Poporama charts. And now on to number 13. We have a familiar face here. It's a face of Blondie, Debbie Harry. This track, Rush Rush, I do recognize it nowadays, but I can't remember it from back in the day, if you know what I mean. So this wasn't really on my radar. It's a decent track. It's not one of my favorite Debbie Harry tracks, I would say. I wasn't aware, to be honest, that she went solo this early on in her career, so to speak. I thought she was still Blondie, but that's just my ignorance speaking here. Yeah, so unfortunately, this is not a history lesson, so I'm not going to tell you all about Debbie Harry or Blondie here. This is all about what I remember and my reflections of said track today. So I leave Debbie Harry and Rush Rush there in the number 13 spot on the Poporama list. And in the number 12 spot on this Poporama list of March of 1984, we find an artist that just recently, as November of 1983, released her debut album, and it was called You Broke My Heart in 17 Places. I'm of course talking about Tracey Ullman. My guy's mad at me. Been on the telephone for an hour. Yeah, the wonderful Tracey Ullman. To me, she was just a musical artist when I first heard this single, My Guy, which happens to be a cover of the Madness song, My Girl. And being a Madness fan for a couple of years back in 1984, my ears perked up straight away because I recognized the song, but it was a new take. It was a girl singing it. Never heard of Tracey Ullman before. Today, we know her as a comedian. I think most people know her worldwide, really, because she's been connected to Simpsons, Woody Allen movies, and her own shows and all of that. But back in 1984, I think it was mainly UK that she was famous in as a comedian, with the shows like Three of a Kind, for example. She's venturing on a musical career. It must have been quite of a shock to some people, but she does have a great voice. And she mainly recorded covers, and like I said, this is no exception, but she did them really, really well and with her own twist. And that album that she released in late 1983, it opened my eyes to so much more than just Tracey Ullman. It got me connected to Kirsty MacColl and a musical style that I wasn't really akin to at that point. So With that said, I'm gonna dedicate a whole episode just to Tracey Ullman in the near future, so keep your eyes and ears perked for that one. But now back to this one. Like I said, a great cover of the Madness song. I think she does a really good work. It spent 4 weeks on the Poporama list, so it was really popular, considering we got bombarded with new singles every single week. This stayed on for 4 weeks on the Poporama list. And as you can see back here, it's on Stiff Records, which is another Madness connection. It's the same label as Madness was on at this point. So yeah, I don't think there's nothing more to say about Tracey Ullman. Love this single still, My Guy and Tracey Ullman. And in the number 11 spot on the Poporama list, we have an artist that, frankly, I have no clue about even today. He's called Dante. It's a Swedish artist. Innan lagen säger nej is the title of this one. Before the law says no, roughly translated. Yeah, that's Dante.
Ta dig tid och gör vad du vill ikväll. Innan lagen säger nej.
And I have nothing more to say about this one. I can't even remember this song. So to me, I never heard it. Of course, I've heard it at some point because I had it on Poporama. But yeah, it went in here and out there. So let's move on. In the number 10 place, we have an artist that I do recognize and I do remember hearing. And it's Huey Lewis and the News. And the track is called I Want a New Drug.
I want a new drug. Want the one in my head.
With the risk of sounding like a broken record, this is yet another band that I'm not a huge fan of. But you know what? I think it's fun to look back on these charts, and we have to go through the entries here, and it does stir a lot of memories, with me at least. And I remember hearing this quite a lot, and I didn't hate it or anything. I thought it was okay. It's another pop rock song, and I still have those feelings today. But I do appreciate what they were doing. Huey Lewis and the News back in the 80s, they were really big. This particular one, I Want a New Drug, was taken from their sports album, which was a big success for them as well. But the biggest success of the 1980s was still around the corner. And I'm of course talking about The Power of Love, the single taken from Back to the Future. But that's a story for another time, right? So, yeah, this one spent only 1 week on the Poporama charts, but in other countries, in other charts, they did really well. So, that's all I have to say, really. That's Huey Lewis and the News, and I Want a New Drug. Let's move on. In the number 9 spot, we have a banger of a song. This is Kenny Loggins and Footloose.
Now I gotta cut loose, put loose, kicked off the Sunday shoes.
Taken from the movie of the same name, and I remember I wanted to go and see this movie back in the day, but never got around to see it. I don't know why. Was it an age restriction or something like that? I'm not sure. I seen it years after, and I do think it's a good movie. We got Kevin Bacon in that one, dancing away. And I used to love watching this video without actually seeing the movie, of course, because it's got all these clips from the movies. It's that stomping away with their feet, and it's a really catchy song, Kenny Loggins' Footloose. And unfortunately, I never picked it up on a single or anything like that. Like I said in previous episodes, money was too tight to mention. So I had it on a mixtape, several mixtapes actually, because I did love this song. Kenny Loggins and Footloose in the number 9 spot on the Poporama list. And in the number 8 spot, we have a band that I talked about before, I think as recently as my retrospective of February 1984. This is the Thompson Twins and Doctor.
I saw you there, just standing there.
Yeah, this track, in that episode I said I couldn't find it on any list, and I found it really baffling because in my mind it was a huge hit. But yeah, you can never trust the internet, can you? But you can trust the Poporama list, because this song, and I was right, was a big hit. It spent 5 weeks on the Poporama list, and it wasn't just down to me and my friends thought it was really great and no one else really bought this single. But like I said, the Poporama list was a popular list. It wasn't really what was selling the most, but it must have sold quite a lot. It was just me not being able to find it on the selling charts. But now we're back on track. We've got the Poporama lists here, and it's, like I said, it's been 5 weeks. What a great track. I already raved about this one in my February episode, so I won't do it again. And in the number 7 spot, we have a band that I am not too familiar with, but I do remember this song and having it on several mixtapes as well. This is Wang Chung or Huang Chung with Dance Hall Days.
When you, and everyone we knew to believe, to...
This band, Wang Chung, also had a very unique sound to them, I think. I don't think we can find anything that sounded like this on the charts back in the day. So listening back to it now, I think it still holds up. It's really interesting, like I said, and I will actually dig a bit deeper into their discography and listen to their albums, because to me, Wang Chung released this single, Dance Hall Days, and then a couple of years later, I think in 1986, they released Everybody Have Fun Tonight. But those are the only 2 tracks that I do remember from Wang Chung. But it's 2 tracks that I still think holds up today. So yeah, I will dig a bit deeper into their discography, because my interest peaked when I listened back to this one. They only spent 1 week on the Poporama chart, so it wasn't that big of a hit in Sweden. And the same goes for the next one in the number 6 place. This is Chris Rea. I don't know what it is, but I love it was the name of this single by Chris Rea, and this actually spent 1 more week than Wang Chung in the Poporama chart. It spent 2 weeks there. And my connection with Chris Rea is, I do remember this song, but the only other one, well, that's a lie. The other 2 songs I would say that I do remember from Chris Rea is from 1986, On the Beach. Nice laid back tune. I loved that one. A really nice summer song, I would say, from Chris Rea. And then of course he released The Road to Hell, I think it was called. It's been played quite a lot. With that said, I just need to say this is a really catchy tune, this one. And I can't remember listening to it a lot back then. I do remember hearing it. But now, preparing for this episode, I found myself just having it on repeat. It's such a good tune. I think I need to reevaluate my view of Chris Rea and his discography. And I think I need to add this single to my collection. It's really good. It's just a shame it just spent a week on the Poporama chart. But hey ho, that's just the way it goes. I rediscovered it in 2024 at least. This next one is a bit of a weird one, but I did love it back in the day. And this is from Mel Brooks, and the track is called To Be or Not to Be.
Well, hi there, people. You know me. I used to run a little joint called Germany.
I think we would find it really hard to find this track on any 80s compilations that are being pressed today, or even one of those 80s playlists that you're listening to on whatever service you're using, or even one of those 80s radio stations that you might be listening to. But I might be wrong, but I think they would be really reluctant to play this single. And talking about that, Sure, I'm gonna need to blur some of the symbolism on this one. This is, of course, Mel Brooks, portrayed as one of the worst human beings to ever walk this earth. You probably know who it is. He's making a right-out fool out of him on this funky rap record, and rightfully so. It's a satire record, folks, and I don't think it's too soon or too sensitive, but that's just my opinion. This still brings a big grin on my face when I'm listening to it. And you know, back in the day, English isn't my first language. So back in the day, I probably didn't pick up on all the nuances in his brilliant rap here. He did borrow a couple of lines from his own film/musical, The Producers, in this one as well, and it's just brilliant. And another thing that I think is brilliant, that he chose to release this one just to promote his latest movie back in the day, which was called To Be or Not to Be, with his wife, Anne Bancroft, that we can see here. There's some stills from the movie. But there's a rap song is not included in the movie in any shape or form. It's got a pretty serious background, of course, but in true Mel Brooks fashion, there are some really great humor in this one, and I can really recommend this movie. Brilliant move, like I said, to release the funky rap single, Mel Brooks, of all people. And it did chart really high all around Europe. It spent 3 weeks on this Poporama chart. And like I said, I think it still holds up today. And do remember, folks, it is satire, and he's making a really, really good job of it. This harkens back to Charlie Chaplin in The Dictator. This has just happened to be in the 1980s, and it's rap and it's funk and all those great stuff. Yeah, so do go back, listen to it. You might have to go to a secondhand shop to pick up a copy of this one. And if you do find it on the 12-inch or the maxi single as I'm holding here, do pick this one up. It's longer, it's more funky, it's got more rap, it's just more fun all around. And in the number 4 spot, we find a Scottish band that produced one of the best pop songs of the 1980s, in my humble opinion. This is Fiction Factory and Feels Like Heaven.
Feels like
Yeah, boy, what a single. Still got my original here, even if it's got a hole up here. It plays really well. It had a price sticker at some point that I tried to peel away and didn't succeed really. Yeah, but nonetheless, this is, like I said, if you force me to do a top 10 of the best pop songs or the best songs of the 1980s, this would be on that list, I promise you. But doing research for this episode, I realized I only ever heard this single from Fiction Factory. I never heard anything else. So I did some research. They released 2 albums, and after the second album in 1987, they disbanded. They are not a group anymore, and they didn't carry on doing music, at least to my knowledge, or what I read up on. And that really breaks my heart, because this is such a great single, and I did listen to the first album as well because I was curious, and it's got so much promise, good songwriting, good singing, and all of that. And what happened with the second album? It flopped, of course, and they just said no, but no thank you, we're leaving the music industry. I'm really curious about what really happened to Fiction Factory, and I really hope that the information that I got was wrong and they're still doing music and all of that. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it. If you know anything different from what I read, please put it down in the comments. I really hope they're still doing music and we get to see them soon again. And just to prove my point, what a great single it is. It spent 4 weeks on the Poporama list. People really like this one. I wasn't alone, of course, in liking this single. It's quite a unique pop single for the 1980s, with a brilliant melody and great singing and all of that. Rant over. Fiction Factory, Feels Like Heaven. We now reach the top 3 positions here on this Poporama list of March of 1984, and in the number 3 spot we find a guy whose name is Kenny William Gordy. He's got a very famous father called Barry Gordy, and he's the one who founded Motown Records. But Kenny, he didn't want to be associated with this at all, so he chose the very catchy artist name Rockwell.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Quite the paranoid guy, that Rockwell, and that video did everything to underline that paranoia. Anyhow, this was a huge hit worldwide, and in Sweden on the Poporama list it spent 5 weeks, and it was even the smash hit of the week for the 31st of March, where I'm basing this list on. And to become the smash hit of the week on the Poporama list, you have to have the most votes from the previous week. And why it didn't end up in the first place because of this, I don't know. I have to look into the rules and how this was set up in the first place. So I'll come back to you on that one. But anyhow, Rockwell did release a couple of other singles, but it was never as big as Somebody's Watching Me, and he became what we now know as a one-hit wonder. And what I think what really helped this one was, of course, the catchy refrain of this one. It's really nice, and having Michael Jackson there to back you up singing in the chorus, yeah, that helps quite a lot, especially in the mid-80s. And I think Jermaine Jackson as well was involved in some making of this record. And my recollection of this one, loved it back in the day. I still think it holds up, and I'm not as in love with it as I was back in 1984, but if I hear it, I will still go on the dance floor and make some moves to Rockwell. And Somebody's Watching Me. Okay, let's move on to spot number 2. Yeah, this one we all recognize. This is, of course, Nena from Germany with their first smash hit, first international smash hit, and their only one, perhaps. I'm not sure. I have to dig a bit deeper into their discography, but I'm pretty sure this was a one-hit wonder as well. Even though I did pick up another Nena record later this year in 1984, but I'm going to talk about that one in a couple of months. And that one, in my book, is even better than this one. And this one is really, really good in my book. This is the English version of it, 99 Red Balloons, or 909 Luftballons. Luftballons, yeah, it's called in German. You have to excuse my German there. But yeah, I think it became, at least in Sweden, we started hearing the German version a lot on radio, and then eventually they got to play the English version as well. But I think it was the German version that really kicked this single off, not only in Sweden, in other countries as well. Yeah, really good. Nena, most people associate that with the lead singer here. I think she was nicknamed Nena, but it's actually the whole group that is Nena. It's a bit confusing, but because later on when she went solo and had a couple of hits in Germany, it was just her, not the band. It was just Nena. Yeah. I won't go into this one. This is 99 Red Balloons, and this is a club mix of it. This is a recommended one, I think. You get even more synth stabs, more Nena overall. Yeah, it's just a great maxi single overall. Yeah, really good. And this one spent 4 weeks on the Poporama list. It was a big hit. And like I said, we have reasons to come back to Nena later this year when we look back on 1984 with the single that's, in my book, even better than this one. Yeah, let's move on to the number 1 spot on this Poporama list. Slade. More Slade. It seems like Slade is the most talked about group or band on this channel so far, but it's just a feeling that I have. I brought them up in my Christmas episode. I talked about them in my last retrospective as well, and I'm sure I mentioned them somewhere else on another episode. And here they are again with the single Run, Run Away. Still got it in my collection. I still think this one holds up. Noddy Holden and the guys really hit the finishing line running with this one. Pun intended. Yeah, a big hit. Spent 5 weeks on the Poporama charts and spent a lot of weeks on other European charts as well, to my knowledge. It was a big year for Slade, 1984. The second coming, if you want, for Slade. And who knows? It's perhaps time for me to dig into the album they released, where this one was featured, and My as well. It's recently been reissued, so who knows? There might be more Slade coming this way on this channel. Who knows? Yeah, that's Slade. I also promised that I would have a look at the UK charts for the same time period, March of 1984. But as I said in the intro, there's a lot of crossovers. Things that charted in the UK in March will chart in Sweden in April, for example. So I won't bring those up. What I will bring up are singles that I think are worth mentioning, that are close to my heart, the things that I'm really fond of. that I know for a fact never charted in Sweden. And for March of 1984, I only found one single that I really fancied on the UK charts that never charted in Sweden. And that's another satire single in the number 20th place of the UK charts. I'm talking Alexei Sayle and
Hello, John Batney Motor. Hello, John Batney Motor. He can't off-play the bongos. He can't off-play the bongos.
I'm not sure I was aware of Alexei Sayle back in March of 1984. I'm pretty sure Swedish television already started showing the TV series The Young Ones, where Alexei Sayle was one of the characters in that one, or one of the actors in that one. But I'm not sure. But that's how I came aware of Alexei Sayle. And this one I didn't pick up in 1984. I picked it up years and years later because I thought it was really funny. I'm a big fan of Alexei Sayle. I know a lot of people hate this one. I think it's a case of either you love it or you hate it. And you know what? If you got a co-worker or friend named John, don't go around saying, "Hello, John, got a new motor?" No, don't. It's not funny anymore. It's never been funny, really. If you want some really funny stuff, put this on in private and enjoy it yourself. But don't go around harassing Johns out there. But yeah, I think this one is really funny. Another satire single. The B-side is part 2 of this one as well. Yeah, it is part 1 and 2. So you got part 1 on the A-side, part 2 on the B-side. And the 12-inch, I got it here somewhere. Actually, bought the 12-inch as well. So you got part 3 and 4 on that one. Even better, of course. But yeah, this is the 7-inch of Alexei Sayle's Hello, John, got a new motor. In the 20th position on the UK charts. And that will conclude this retrospective of March of 1984. I want to thank you all for tuning in once more to my channel, and a big thank you to all of you guys who subscribe to my channel. I'm really thankful for all of you. And if you really like what I'm doing, please consider giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't like it. I'm just after your honest opinion here. That's it. I'm gonna straight some things out here, get some more records up and all of that. And until next time, you all take care of yourself. And as usual, adieu!